Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking about the match between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. So this is going to be a very decisive match. I know that there has been a lot of saying that this Clasico that we are going to be witnessing in this coming Saturday is not going to be the most decisive game because there's still so many more games left to play. But I would say otherwise, because I think that in tomorrow's night's match, if Barcelona actually grab a win against Real Madrid, there is a big chance that Barcelona could widen the gap between Barcelona and Real Madrid with a total of 5 points. Because if we truly understand who Real Madrid really is, Real Madrid is a team that when we are in a very intense situation, when a club knows that they have to come up with a bunch of wins consistently in order to compete for La Liga, one of the teams that always get it right is always Real Madrid. Real Madrid have shown that they can sometimes be inconsistent throughout the first 3 to 4 months of a season, but when it really comes down to those last 2 or 3 months, Real Madrid always ends up being very consistent. And I think that going into this game against Real Madrid, Barcelona has to grab another 3 points and widen the gap, because I just do not see Real Madrid losing any points against any other team besides FC Barcelona. And then we look at Barcelona themselves, the team that has been coached by Ronald Koeman. I think that looking at this Barcelona team and seeing where we have came from, we do have to put respect on Ronald Koeman's name, because I think that what Koeman brought to Barcelona, he brought Barcelona into a whole other different level. Because a few months ago, this was a Barcelona team that were 11 to 13 points behind Atletico Madrid, who were in first place, or we were in 10th place or 13th place at one point through this season. And now that we are in a situation where Barcelona is 1 point behind Atletico Madrid, Ronald Koeman has done the work. Ronald Koeman has upgraded this team into a squad where we would have never thought this squad was capable to exist in this current season. Maybe in the second season, but never in the first season. Barcelona have greatly improved, and this is going to be the reason why this game between Barcelona and Real Madrid is going to be very intense. It is going to be very decisive. Yes, there is many more games to play, but a Clasico is always going to be a Clasico, and they're going to be wanting to grab 3 points from each other. And if you were to compare Real Madrid to FC Barcelona's route, they have had a very similar journey, because the last time Real Madrid did lose within La Liga was against Levante, which was on June 30th, and they did lose 2-1. But ever since then, Real Madrid have been grabbing points, and on the way down in the most previous game for Real Madrid, they have also beaten Liverpool 3-1, and it was a very dominant game coming from Zinedine Zidane. Now, let's compare the Clasico that we are going to be seeing and the Clasico that we have previously seen, which was back in October. There are some massive disadvantages that both teams are going to be facing. Let's look at Real Madrid first. They're not going to be having Varane. They're also not going to be having Sergio Ramos, Carvajal, because these 3 players who are very important when it comes to the Madrid defensive line, they are going to be injured. And then let's look at FC Barcelona. 2 players that are not going to be featuring in this game that did feature in the previous Clasico is Ansu Fati and Philippe Coutinho. Now, just to give you guys some quick updates, Philippe Coutinho will not be featuring in this current season at all. He will be back maybe in the next season, and that's only if Coutinho does continue with FC Barcelona. As for Ansu Fati is a massive loss for FC Barcelona. Ansu Fati was actually the only player that scored for Barcelona in the previous Clasico, and now seeing that Ansu Fati, the one player that did score for Barcelona, is not going to be in the next Clasico, Barcelona is going to have to find a solution on who is going to be the goal scorer for Barcelona when they do play tomorrow. But that is it, right? Those are the disadvantages coming from Barcelona and Real Madrid. And one very interesting thing that I have seen when I did count this injury list for Barcelona, it is that Gerard Piqué and Sergi Roberto are not in the injury list. Because if we look at the squad list here, we can see that it is fully official and it is confirmed. Gerard Piqué and Sergi Roberto are going to be included in the squad list, and they will be traveling to Madrid. And let me tell you, I saw this coming. Many people actually saw this coming, that Piqué and Sergio Roberto were going to be featuring in the squad list, because we have seen them train with the first team for many times. They looked okay. Yes, there were reports stating that Piqué's fitness is in great jeopardy. We do not know if Piqué is going to be entering in the squad list or if he's going to be fit in time. But that's going to be the question, right? Are we going to see Piqué and Sergio Roberto actually feature in the Clasico regardless if they're featuring in the squad list? And here's the thing. I do not think so. I think that what Ronald Koeman has seen against PSG, looking at how he placed Gerard Piqué in that game, Gerard Piqué, even though he was injury-free, his fitness was not 100%. And he is one of the reasons why PSG were playing their game. It was because Piqué could not match the rhythm that PSG were playing. Is it fully Gerard Piqué's fault that we did lose in that game at the Camp Nou? It wasn't. But at the end of the day, PSG PSG played their match. They played their game, and the main reason why it was because the defensive line as a collective could not keep up with what PSG were trying to do. And that is going to be the route that Ronald Koeman is probably going to be taking against Real Madrid. He will not be featuring Gerard Piqué in the starting 11, nor do I think that he will be coming in later in this game. And the fact that Piqué is not going to be nowhere near the starting 11, this is going to be a massive change in terms of the formation and the starting 11 for Ronald Koeman. Because if Piqué is not going to be playing between Ronald Araujo or Mingueza or Araujo and Lenglet, then who is going to be that center back that is going to be playing between those two other center backs? And that is only going to mean one thing. Frenkie de Jong is going to be playing as a center back in this game. And with Frenkie de Jong going back into the defensive line and not playing as a interior, that is going to greatly change the formation and the starting 11. And I'm going to be showing you guys exactly what I do mean by this. If we look at the starting 11 here, we can see that Ter Stegen is in goal, Mingueza, Frenkie de Jong, and Ronald Araujo are going to be in that defensive line. But because Frenkie de Jong is going to be playing between Araujo and Mingueza, which I assume that Araujo and Mingueza are going to be starting, it could be Araujo or Lenglet, Frenkie de Jong is going to be playing as a center back. And with that, instead of Ronald Koeman preferring to use the 5-man midfield like we do see every time Frenkie de Jong does play as a interior, we could see Ronald Koeman go with a 4-man defensive line. But look at where Messi and Antoine Griezmann is positioned. That is the main reason why Ronald Koeman would much rather prefer a 4-man defensive line, is because he can add Antoine Griezmann and Lionel Messi as two players acting as a number 10, being in front of Pedri and Busquets, but also being behind Dembele. And I also believe that this is also telling us that even though Frenkie de Jong plays as a center back, Ronald Koeman can still use a 5-man midfield. But the only reason why he does not want to do that, it is because maybe he is not fully convinced that players such as Pjanic can play in Frenkie de Jong's interior position. Maybe he's not convinced that a player like Moriba is just not ready yet in order to play in that interior position. He would much rather cut down the midfield line and just use 4 players. But let's continue to look at this starting 11, because there's going to be a total of 3 key points that I do want to talk about this starting 11 that we could see go up against Real Madrid. Point number 1, Messi and Antoine Griezmann are going to be acting as 2 number 10s. I do believe that this is probably the most ideal solution if Barcelona want to control the midfield, because the one area that Real Madrid is going to want to control, and especially after seeing that match between Liverpool and Real Madrid are going to want to control the midfield. And the 3 players that they heavily rely on is Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric. 3 great quality players. But if Barcelona want to dominate that type of midfield, players such as Antoine Griezmann and Lionel Messi are going to have to drop deep and receive the balls from either Busquets, Pedri, or maybe even Jordi Alba, and then move forward and start creating the attack in order for Dembele to find those runs. Point number 2, where is Lenglet, right? Is Lenglet going to be starting in the starting 11? Now here's the thing, I know that Lenglet has been redeeming himself in the past couple of games. He has been playing tremendously well, and I love the way that Lenglet is finally upgrading his game. But the one thing that really makes me curious is the fact that if we put Lenglet in that defensive line, that would mean that Mingueza, who is going to be the one player that is going to have to sacrifice his minutes in order for Lenglet to play, Mingueza will not be playing. But if we look at the last match that Barcelona has played in the Champions League, you look at how Mingueza covered Kylian Mbappe very well on that right side for FC Barcelona. Mingueza did that very well. One of the best characteristics and traits that Mingueza has as a right center back is anticipating what the player is going to be doing next. And that type of quality is going to be needed against Real Madrid, because after seeing what Vinicius has done on the left wing area going up against Liverpool, we know what Vinicius could do. We know how dangerous he could be, and the one center back that could be capable to cover a player like Vinicius when he is on his A game would be Mingueza. And the third key point that I do want to talk about is going to be about Dembele. I do believe that I have spoken about this enough. Dembele as a number 9 can do great damage against Real Madrid. We know the type of center backs Real Madrid is going to be placing. Players such as Nacho or Militao, they are going to be the center backs that are going to be preferred by Zidane. And I do think that if Dembele can find those spaces and he can make those runs when Antoine Griezmann and Messi are looking for those passes, Dembele can do it. Dembele has shown that he can and is smart enough to look for the spaces like he did against PSG. And in this game against Real Madrid, it will be no different. Dembele is capable, and I do think that if there was a game where I would want Dembele to finally show the way that he could finish against a very tough opposition side, I want this game to be the game where Dembele scores the goals for FC Barcelona. Now, I do want to quickly talk about Ronald Koeman's pre-match press conference, because I do believe that what he did say in the press conference is really giving you a feeling on what the sensations are in the squad and just what ideas they could come up with going up against Real Madrid. So I'm going to be starting with Ronald Koeman speaking about Sergio Roberto and Gerard Piqué, and this is what he said. They're important players, not just for their skills, but also for their personalities. We know that they lack the rhythm, but they are excited to help. And I do believe that this is telling us one thing. Ronald Koeman is convinced. He is convinced that Gerard Piqué and Sergio Roberto, even though they are going to be in the squad list, he does not believe that they are ready to go up against Real Madrid. And just looking at this type of Barcelona that we have seen under Ronald Koeman, this is a Barcelona team that functions at a very high pace. And if you're going to be asking if Gerard Piqué and Sergio Roberto can do that for you, and especially in a game like this, I just don't think that they are ready. I just do not see Gerard Piqué and Sergio Roberto matching the rhythm of Barcelona's game and how Real Madrid is going to be approaching Barcelona. Then Ronald Koeman did speak about Real Madrid, and this is what he did say. Madrid have played with different systems. Our job is to prepare our team the best way possible. We like to press our opponents, and we know how to do it against any system, which is true. Real Madrid in the past 10 games, they have been trying out very different type of formations. They have been using the 4-3-3, the 3-5-2, and also the 5-3-2. So it's going to be very hard to predict just how Real Madrid is going to be approaching FC Barcelona. But what really fascinates me about what Ronald Koeman has said in this statement is he is basically stating that no matter how Real Madrid line up against Barcelona, Barcelona want to come up with the exact same idea and stand by what their identity truly is. And he did say this right after. I think it's important to be ourselves and have our ideas. We must not change because the rival is called Real Madrid, which is fascinating. I love this. I love the way that Barcelona and Ronald Koeman are standing for something, a way to play, a style of play, a set formation. All of this is going to greatly help Barcelona in this upcoming Clasico. Now, I do want to lastly talk about what's going on in the daily news and who Barcelona could be selling in this coming summer, because the one name that has surfaced in the media has been Konrad De La Fuente. And it says here, according to Moises Llorens, Barcelona will be open to the offers for the USA international Konrad De La Fuente in this upcoming summer. They have also considered that there are many players who are up front of Konrad De La Fuente when it comes to the pecking order, and they have concluded that Konrad De La Fuente will find it extremely hard to find minutes. Moises Llorens continues to add, with Barcelona needing to raise money, they believe that Konrad De La Fuente could command a reasonable fee in this coming summer. They would prefer a permanent sale rather than a simple loan. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to this report, Barcelona have made it very clear that the only reason why they want to sell Konrad De La Fuente is not because he is not good enough, but it is because they want to see Konrad De La Fuente gain more minutes. And even though Konrad De La Fuente is at the bottom of the pecking order within the left wing area, that does not mean that Konrad De La Fuente is a bad player. And just looking at what Barcelona have to do in the coming summer, they're going to have to sell. But it never crossed my mind that Barcelona were considering to sell Konrad De La Fuente. There are other players such as Pjanic, Coutinho, many other players that we have been seeing in the media that could be sold in a couple of months. But what never crossed my mind was Konrad De La Fuente. Now, it says here that his contractual situation is that his contract does expire with Barcelona in 2022, which will be in the next year. If Konrad De La Fuente does not renew with Barcelona, then Barcelona will be forced to sell Konrad De La Fuente in the coming summer. And within the contract situation, if Barcelona do decide to extend Konrad De La Fuente, they would extend him all the way until 2024. So this is nothing new. Many Barcelona B players have been getting their contracts extended for an extra 2 or 3 years. We have seen Alex Collado get his contract extended until 2023. There has been reports that Alejandro Balde could be extending his contract with FC Barcelona. We have also heard some news regarding Nico Gonzalez, who is another Barcelona B player. He could be extending his contract with FC Barcelona. But the fact that we're hearing that the first report regarding Konrad De La Fuente, that his first move in the summer would be to leave Barcelona to a different club, it is not good news. And I think that in the end, they are going to come into a conclusion where Konrad De La Fuente may not be in Barcelona no more. And I remember right, I remember when Konrad De La Fuente in the beginning of this season, many were stating and there were many rumors that Konrad could be playing as a left back for FC Barcelona. He is currently a left winger, so he does have time to convert himself as a left back. Many were comparing this player to be the next Alphonso Davies in the way that he re-engineered and shifted his position. But then again, we also have to think about if Konrad De La Fuente actually plays as a left back and he gets converted into that position, the other player that will be looking to gain minutes in Jordi Alba's position would be Alejandro Balde, a player that has been highly talked about and admired by Ronald Koeman. But here's going to be the final conclusion regarding Konrad De La Fuente. He is 19 years old. He is an extremely young player and he has so much time to develop into a much better player than what he currently is. And I do think that it is so dangerous to sell a player at this young of an age, because if you fully sell him and he goes to another different team and he becomes great, then there is going to be regret within the club. But that is also why I believe that within this report, they have also stated that Barcelona would like to put in a buyback option within the contract on wherever Konrad De La Fuente does go, just in case he actually does improve as a player. Now, there are many suitors for Konrad De La Fuente. There are teams such as Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Real Betis, or maybe even Borussia Dortmund. I would love to see a player like him go into teams such as these. But that's going to be it for today's Barcelona pre-match preview. Let me know what's going to be your predicted starting 11 in this match and what is going to be your predicted score for the match between FC Barcelona and Real Madrid. It's going to be very exciting. Again, I do want to remind everyone that I am going to be making a post-match review after the match is over and we are going to be talking about the game. But thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next video.